Hi, I'm Heidi Neck, the Jeffrey A. Timmons Professor of Entrepreneurial Studies at Babson College. I'd like to talk to you today about entrepreneurial thought and action, which is a phrase coined by Babson College to reflect the action-oriented nature needed in organizations of all kinds today. I mean, think about it. How do you really act in a world that is constantly changing? How do we take action when historical data offers us little assistance in creating the future? And how do we act under conditions of extreme uncertainty? In its simplest terms, entrepreneurial thought and action is comprised of two logics. One is prediction, the other is creation. Prediction presumes causality, but creation is action in support of creation. Though ETA involves both logics, I'd like to really spend a little bit more time talking about the creation side of the equation because that's where organizations are most weak. Let me illustrate the difference between prediction and creation by talking about an exercise we use in some of the programs here at Babson College. So let's just take a group of 30 managers, and I walk into the room and I just tell the managers, here at Babson College, action trumps everything, so we need to get to work immediately. I break them out into groups and they each go to a breakout room and they have one task, and that task is simple, to put together a jigsaw puzzle. So I let them spend some time working on the puzzle. I check in on the rooms here and there, and when I see that they've made some good progress on the puzzle, I take them into another room and say, we're going to do something different. And in that room, I ask them to put together a quilt. So in the previous breakout rooms, they were putting together puzzles. In this room, they're putting together quilts. And they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy. Then I open up this table, and it's full of just random pieces of fabric. And I say, I need you to choose some fabric, and I need you to put together a quilt in teams. And so they eventually start to take the fabric and they get into teams and they start designing these quilts on the floor. And eventually they all have these really cool looking quilts. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying, what's the point? Well, let's think about this and imagine what a debrief could be. You're talking about quilts and you're talking about puzzles. Quilts is more akin to the creation side of thinking. And the puzzles are more akin to the prediction side of thinking. And in its most simplest form, the puzzle is managerial thinking and the quilt is entrepreneurial thinking. What do I mean by that? Well, think about how we put together a puzzle. We know what the end outcome is going to be. The picture is in front of us. We have the puzzle pieces. We know how to put them together eventually. And once we put them together, we have the picture, the beautiful picture at the end. But when you tell somebody to put together a quilt, what are they doing? What's the end goal? What are they shooting for? And so it's really this process of human interaction where the managers have to come together and piece by piece start designing a quilt that they really don't have a design to begin with immediately. A design emerges over time. They're operating under conditions of extreme uncertainty. And then we ask them at the end, what world are we living in? And most of them will agree that we're living in a quilt world. And I say, how are we operating in this world? And most would agree that we're trying to create puzzles. So the quilt and puzzle exercise is simply one of many ways that we help executives kind of change their mindset to think about how they can become more entrepreneurial in their organizations, as well as deal with increasingly higher levels of uncertainty in today's environment.